Hump Day, Wednesday, July 23rd. Welcome to the show, Fantasy Football. Today, we are talking about our pick-by-pick series. We did a 12-team PPR mock draft with 3 receivers, and we're going to take a look at how it unfolded and what to do from different spots in the draft. It's Adam, Dave, and Jamie here. Please send us your emails at fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. Please leave an Apple Podcast 5-star review. That is extremely helpful for growing our show. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, leave comments, leave reviews, let people know why you like our show. If you do that on Apple Podcasts and you leave a nice review, you can include a question and we will read that on our mailbag show. All right, guys, as we start to do more and more mock drafts, more real drafts, just wondering, because today pick by pick, we'll talk about strategies and how to build a team. Just wondering if things are coming into focus a little bit more for you in terms of team building exercises and whatnot. Jamie, do you feel that at all? Are you gaining some clarity over the last few days and weeks?
I'm just trying different things. So, there's different things I feel like I'm learning about what I want to do and how I want to tell people what to do in certain spots and, groups of players that are available based on the drafts that I'm seeing. And I think like last night was a great exercise for me, at least, because it was with 11 random people that I have no idea how their draft was going to go. It's a little different when you're in leagues that you play in, year over year, and you kind of know the way that people draft. It's a lot easier with our leagues because I know what you guys tend to do for the most part, and the players that you like and don't like. So to throw that, randomness into it is a lot more interesting. So I was telling Dave this, like last night was the first time I drafted Joe Mixon, so that was just one player that stood out to me. For example, I waited too long on quarterbacks. Was another one that played itself out in the mock draft that we did. So two things that kind of, and the quarterback one was somewhat on purpose. Like I passed on Burrow and Hurts. I was pick 4 going back the other way. And I wanted to see if one of those guys would fall back to me. They didn't.
Around 5, you mean?
Yeah. No, he was picking 4th overall. So He was in slot 4 and in late round 4.
That's what I mean.
He was hoping for one of those.
It was round 5 actually
to come back. Right.
You passed them up in round 4 to see if they'd be there in round 5.
I think that's right. Yes.
And gambled and it was.
And I did the same thing at the end of the draft because both Bo Nix and Dak Prescott were available, and both those the manager with pick 3 did not have a quarterback. He took one of those guys, and one of the other managers took the other one, and so. Again, just trying different things and seeing how it works. So to answer your question, I'm sorry in a roundabout way. Yes, I'm seeing the way things are sort of unfolding. The puzzle's coming together. But a lot's going to change over the next few weeks. I mean, I think we're going to see McLaurin fall. I think we're going to see Godwin fall. I think we're going to see Omarion Hampton rise. Things of that nature.
Where did Hampton go last night?
I think he went round 4.
Yeah, he's gonna creep into round 3.
I think that might be a mistake. I know that
round 4 is fine. Round 3 too soon.
Look, obviously if he gets the runway and he takes over with Najee Harris.
Well, if Harris is out, different story.
No. But what I'm saying is I don't think Najee's going to be out, right? Because the reports have not been great. They don't know. The newest report is that Jim Harbaugh said, not even a report. Jim Harbaugh said they don't know if Najee Harris is going to be ready for training camp. So he could be out for a while with this eye injury, but the thing is, it's not like he has a knee injury. It's not like this is something that's going to hamper him, I don't think.
Correct.
When the season starts. So as soon as he's back, it's a competition again. And now, obviously, this helps Hampton, gives him a leg up to start. So we'll keep an eye on things. But don't sit there and go, Najee Harris is out of the picture. That's not the case right now.
Yep.
Dave, did you want to talk about that? I don't know if things are taking shape for you as we do.
There. Sure. So, first thing I thought of is how I've been preaching how I've got this elite tier of 9 wide receivers. And Jamie has 10, and you might have 10 if you're listening and you want to include Drake London, or it might be fewer than 9 if you don't want to include A.J. Brown or whoever. But the number of elite tier running backs is even smaller. For me, it's 6, and that includes a rookie. So I worry a little bit about making sure I get one of those guys. And so one of the decisions that I think every fantasy manager has to make is, which do you want to tackle first? Because you're going to have a first round pick. You're guaranteed to get one of these guys. You might get 2 if you're picking late in round 1, which I love. Which position do you want to go after first? And the running back position, it's very strong at the top. But if you want one of those elite tier runners, you're going to have to pass on one of the elite tier receivers to do it. and vice versa if you really have the wide receiver. I also think the very first drop off, this is for me, is at 27th overall. So if I've got one of those early round one picks, I mean really early, I can feel good about my first 3 picks. I like that spot a lot too.
Yeah.
One of the things I've come to the conclusion on is that I don't know if I really have a spot in the first round that I'm targeting that I absolutely have to have. I can come up with a strategy I love if I'm picking 3rd overall. I think I might love the strategy a little bit more if I'm picking late in round 1. So I might give an edge there, but it's not like I hate picking top 3 overall.
And for me, the clarity that I've been gaining is that I feel pretty good and clear about everything when I'm drafting right now, except how I feel about Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. They are big influencers in my draft. They change things for me. And I don't know
Are you
where
chasing them, or are you
No.
trying to get them at a value? And then in other words, you're just not going to get them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sort of somewhere in between right now. This is just, I just don't know how I feel about their potential to really perform like early second round picks. Because I think they're really good picks late in the second round, or if you can get them in the 3rd round, but it's just not really happening. Certainly not with Bowers. So
I think you got to separate the two.
I don't really separate the two.
No. I think, but for the purpose of what you're talking about, I think you have to separate the two, because I don't think we're going to see them go back to back. I don't think we're going to see them go in a 5-pick range. I think Bowers goes at the beginning of round 2 in the first 3 or 4 picks in that range, and McBride is the back end of round 2 in the early part of round 3.
That's what we saw in our draft last night. I think we're going to see
in almost every draft I do.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that as we get closer to the start of the season, I think we will see those guys get a little tighter between them, and it won't
I
be
see that. I almost think it goes the other way though, because we are advising people to say that they're close together. If not, McBride is better. What we're seeing is a separation of the two. I think more people are expecting Bowers to take a huge step forward, which is not out of the question. I don't think people view McBride as being better than Bowers, which is what we're saying essentially.
So
they're 6 spots apart in our ADP.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter because you can't pass on one and get the other. So when you're up in the second round, you've got to make a choice. Do I take tight end 1, or do I not get one of those two? And unless, like we said unless they're both available and you're picking 3rd overall, they're both available at 22nd overall, you might be 22nd, 23rd, 24th. You might be able to get one in the second round. But ADP is telling us that you have to make a choice in the second round. Do I take Bowers or McBride if they're available, or do I pass? And I still don't have my answer yet. I am thinking that they are probably not going to average 17 PPR fantasy points per game.
Yep.
Because I looked at the last 6 years, or maybe 7 years, and the tight ends, the last 6 tight ends who averaged 17 or more points per game, they were all on offenses that threw for more yards than what both Arizona and Las Vegas did last year, and most of them significantly more yards. So this is Travis Kelce 3 times, Zach Ertz on a great passing offense with Philadelphia, Darren Waller on a pretty damn good passing offense 1 year with Las Vegas, and who was the last one? Mark Andrews on a solid passing offense with Baltimore. They threw for 4,267 yards, 21 touchdowns in 17 games. So all those offenses were better than Las Vegas and Arizona, what they did as passing offenses last year. Is there room for those two teams to get up to, like, say, 4,300 passing yards? I don't think so with Las Vegas. And I don't think so with Arizona. That's just where I'm at right now. So I chose 17 points per game as kind of arbitrary as what they would need to justify second round picks. That also depends on the strength of the rest of the tight end position. If tight end is just horrible this year, then maybe they can average 16 points per game and justify a second round pick. But I'm leaning that I'm not going to have a lot of those tight ends, but that is the only super tough decision that.
Well, let me ask this question. Would you sign up for this roster? This was the team that drafted Bowers last night and drafted them 13th overall, so the 12th pick in the first round. Brock Purdy at quarterback, James Cook and Ken Walker at running back, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Travis Hunter as the starting receivers, Brock Bowers at tight end, and this was a 2 receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex league. and Jamison Williams as the starting flex, with both 49ers receivers in Jennings and Pearsall on the bench, and no other real standout running backs. Tyjae Spears, the third running back. So Purdy, Cook, Walker, St. Brown, Hunter, Bowers, and then either Jamison Williams or 49ers receiver at flex.
I think it's a playoff team. I don't think it's a winning team. I think I would have liked a better RB1. And the thing that makes it better for me is having Jennings and Pearsall. Those are great picks. But now you've got Purdy, Jennings, Pearsall, St. Brown, and Jamison Williams, which is a good offense to have. I would say I could live with that roster. Yeah, I could live with that.
I'll give you the McBride roster, which went toward the back end of round 2. I don't remember exactly what pick. Jalen Hurts at quarterback.
Slot 2, pick 2.
Makes sense where Hurts went. Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Bijan Robinson and Chuba Hubbard at running back. Garrett Wilson and Roma Dunze at receiver. McBride at tight end. And then Pacheco at flex. The other receivers, if you don't like Odunze, would be Darnell Mooney, Khalil Shakir, Christian Kirk, and Marvin Mims.
Yes. I like it. I really do. And I know people are going to go, oh, Roma Dunze at wide receiver too. But the point I try to make is that every single year, round 7 or later, round 9 or later, we get wide receivers that finish top 24 that have good years. You can find great value late. So the guy you drafted doesn't have to be the guy who wins you your league. I think there's enough high-end talent on this team. I like this team.
Well, I want to go back because you said something with the other team. Like, this is a playoff team. I don't know if it's a championship team. If you tell me I have a playoff team coming out of the draft, I'll make it work.
I think this team works. I mean, and again, I'm sorry. Last thing, Dave, I'll let you go. This is a 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 flex league. This is not a 3 receiver league. So again, I really like going for being aggressive at tight end.
Jamie, could you give us a team that took a tight end late last night, just to compare to?
If you recall, there was that whole group that went in rounds. I think it was 9 through 11.
Just pick one.
I don't know exactly when Colston and Loveland went, but this is just the one I landed on. So Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, RJ Harvey at running back, Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison Jr. at receiver, Loveland at tight end, and then also drafted Ingram. But flex options would be Godwin. Godwin's probably the best bet. Godwin or Keon Coleman. So went 2 quarterbacks and went 2 tight ends. That's hard in a 13-round draft.
And all 3 of the teams that you mentioned, Jamie, have flaws. And that's just the way that fantasy football is. It's rare when you can draft a team and you don't think you've got any flaws. Or the consensus would believe that you don't have any flaws coming out of the draft. But I like that team too. You got a stud at quarterback. You can get by with Ingram and Loveland at tight end. And yeah, running back, there's a few question marks there. Receiver, you need Godwin to be healthy. But I don't mind that team either. And that's a team that waited a long time to take a tight end. And that's the point, is that if we knew that Bowers and McBride were going to slam dunk 17 PPR points, they're worth that early round 2 capital. But they need to be taken closer to where other non-tight ends are going to be penciled in for 15.5 to 16 PPR points to justify the pick in the early round 3, late round 2 type of range.
And by the way, if they had had their exact same stats, and you take for McBride, take his stats and make it a 17-game pace, if they had both scored 8 touchdowns instead of 5 for Bowers and 3 for McBride would have averaged 16.9 PPR fantasy points per game. Bowers would have averaged 16.5 PPR fantasy points per game. That's if they had 8 touchdowns last year. All right. So look, whatever we tell you about strategy today, there is no right answer. There's what we think looks best, but fantasy football is unpredictable and fun. So take this as a helpful guide, not as gospel. And we'll get to that in a little bit. We have a lot of news and notes to get to. Also, we have a mailbag coming up on Friday, and we still have some spots available. If you want to purchase for $50, go to our Draftathon page, St. Jude donation of $50, tinyurl.com/2025FFT. Have your mailbag question answered. And it looks like we have 5 slots left. So let's see if we can sell those out as we have for each of the first 2 weeks there. Podcast awards, go to podcastawards.com/app/sign up. Or just go to podcastawards.com. You'll find it. And nominate Fantasy Football Today in the People's Choice and the Sports category. It takes about 45 seconds, I'd say. It's really simple. Podcastawards.com. We appreciate your support. We're going to hop to a quick break here and give you the news updates on Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Caleb Williams, Andrew Thomas, and more. All right, here we go. Kyron Williams wants a new contract, but he did report to camp he's going to participate in practice as he seeks a contract extension, so he's not holding in. That's good. That's Kyron Williams. Meanwhile, Matthew Stafford has a minor back injury. Mentioned this earlier, but Jim Harbaugh does not know if Najee Harris will be back for training camp. Joe Mixon is on the non-football injury list. It's July 23rd. Guys can come off these lists anytime. We're not going to overreact yet, but Mixon. What you said you drafted Mixon for the first time yesterday, Jamie. When did you draft him?
Round 5.
Okay. And you had which pick? 4th pick, you said?
4th pick.
Okay. So the 2 quarterbacks that you were gambling on, Burrow and Hurts, they were taken. So you pivoted to Mixon in round 5. I will point out that Joe Mixon averaged, I want to say, almost 19 PPR fantasy points per game in his healthy games. He left one game with an injury. He left one game because it was week 18. Other than that, he was he was first round good. So not saying that it was that people were wrong on him, just throwing that out there.
He had at least 16 PPR points in 8 of his first 10 games.
Yeah, amazing. All right, what else we got here? Chris Ballard, the GM for the Colts, is preaching patience with Anthony Richardson, citing Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Michael Penix said the Falcons are going to give the ball to Bijan Robinson as much as they can. We love that.
Cool.
No timetable for Brandon Ayuk right now. Juwan Jennings has not formally requested a trade. Dave, here's an interesting item. Ben Johnson, head coach for the Bears, he wants Caleb Williams to have a 70% completion rate. Basically, the only way to do that, unless you are the greatest quarterback in the world, is to have a low ADOT. There were 36 qualified quarterbacks last year. They ranked between 27th and 36th in air yards per pass attempt. That'd be Tua, Goff, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, and Geno Smith. So I thought about that, and I thought about the second half of the season when DJ Moore's ADOT fell from 10 yards to 5.7 yards. And he was on pace for 151 targets from weeks 10 to 18. So things have changed now. Obviously, personnel, coaching's different. But do you think a 70% completion rate goal, and the fact that Jared Goff was one of those quarterbacks with the low ADOT and a 70% completion rate, do you think that's something that would, if it happens, benefit DJ Moore more than anyone else?
I don't know if it would benefit him more than anyone else. It would certainly benefit him to the same level that it did in the second half of last year. That's why we're drafting him in that round 4 or 5 type range in full PPR. But what's the number one way to help a quarterback that tends to hold the ball too long? Force him to get the ball out quick. Call a bunch of plays where you got to get that ball out ASAP. Make your read before the snap. Go with it. Easy throws, short throws. Let the receiver make a play after the catch. That's what Caleb Williams needs to do more of. That will help the offense in general. It won't help their explosive play rate, but it'll help them have a lot of third and manageable plays and hopefully some sustained drives, and hopefully leads to some points. But obviously this helps not just DJ Moore, but whoever the plays are called for. And this is where this is where you kind of buy in a little bit more to DeAndre Swift. He's a good short area target. The tight ends, both Loveland and Cole Kmet, short area targets. They can always call up plays for Odunze. He's a good yard after the catch type guy. The Bears are going to keep doing this. And I would imagine it's not necessarily going to be great for Caleb Williams' numbers, but it'll help pad the reception totals for everybody in that offense.
I do wonder about Odunze, though. He had a 14-yard or 13.8-yard ADOT last year, which do not look at that and say it's going to repeat.
No.
But he does profile as the more downfield guy on this offense, right?
Sure, he does, but that's something DJ Moore's done in the past as well.
Yeah.
So,
right.
and Loveland can do that too. Like Loveland is much more of a receiver than a blocker. So they have options when they want to throw past 10 yards downfield.
All right. Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs are on the PUP list for the Bucks. Also, Godwin had a minor ankle procedure this spring, but he is doing well, according to ESPN.
Yeah, it was a cleanup procedure, according to the report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I feel like fairly common stuff.
Deshaun Watson, he had to have it.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson's on the PUP list. Darren Waller is on the PUP list already. Okay. Terry
McDaniel talked about that today, that he said, just being smart for a guy coming out of retirement. He seemed to be pretty upfront about it.
They've got an offensive lineman on the PUP list too. and he's going to miss weeks. Eichenberg is going to miss.
There are a lot of guys on the PUP list right now. I'll try to just do the main headliners. But Terry McLaurin, it's not on the PUP list, but he is currently holding out. He did not report to camp. Giants left tackle Andrew Thomas is on the PUP list, but he's expected to be ready for week 1. Huge deal for them. Chargers left tackle Rashawn Slater is not practicing. He has a minor injury, but also he wants a new contract. Cincinnati running back Zach Moss is on the PUP list.
Is it PUP or NFI?
I thought PUP.
Let's see.
Could be NFI.
It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? It's Zach Moss.
No, I mean, I think it matters a little bit. It's the
NFI list.
Okay.
Non-football injury list.
This is a big one here. Alaric Jackson, left tackle for the Rams, is not on the PUP list and apparently not going to be put on it. He's dealing with blood clots, but that's something that could put you out for the entire season. I'm not saying that's out of the question here, but I think it's a good sign that Alaric Jackson's not on the PUP list for the Rams. Saints tight ends Foster Morrow and Taysom Hill are going to start camp on the PUP list. Tennessee cornerback L'Jarius Sneed is going to start camp on the PUP list. He is week to week. Saints safety Tyrann Mathieu retired. They have signed in the offseason. The Saints signed safety Justin Reed, and now they're looking to sign safety Julian Blackman.
I believe they did.
Oh, they did sign. Okay. The Rams signed Jamal Adams, who he's a safety. He played for Pete Carroll, but not the Rams, the Raiders, pardon me. He played for Pete Carroll in Seattle. And tough news here, the Panthers released linebacker Josie Jewell. It's a good player. He has not recovered from a concussion that he sustained in week 15. So that's tough news for Josie Jewell. I hope he gets back.
He might have been their best run-stopping linebacker.
No, and they had a terrible run defense last year. But one of the reasons they had a terrible run defense is Derek Brown, their star defensive tackle, tore his meniscus in week 1. He is back, and he is practicing. Okay, let's take a look now at our pick-by-pick.
James Cook, by the way, is expected to practice.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we had said that yesterday. I should have put that in the show notes anyway.
Well, that was they just started camp today officially. So,
okay,
right.
cool.
He reported yesterday, and now if he's practicing, that means he's not holding out. He's not holding in. He wants a new contract, but he's being a good teammate and a good, member of the Bills to go and practice, even though he doesn't have the bag he wants. So good on him.
Oh boy, did I miss a big opportunity. Schaefer pointing it out. We had a lot of players on the
rough.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that on the PUP list. Oh man, that was David. David had enough of the barking sound, so he took matters into his own hands last year, and we got that soundbite from it. All right, next time we talk.
I'm terrified, by the way. I'm dog sitting for 2 dogs. So there's 3 dogs in my house now. So
oh no.
Oh my, the crap everywhere in your house. It's got to be terrible. Watch your step.
I have a lot of power right now. Okay, let's take a look at this pick by pick here.
Because you can play dog barking.
Yeah, because I can make the other dog. If the dogs hear that, they're going to start going crazy.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But I don't want to, make Jamie leave
Turn
the show.
Jamie's life into chaos.
All right, Dave had pick vacation in this, so he was not in this pick by pick. Jamie had 1 and 7. I had 2 and 8. So we can give you kind of how we structured our teams from early and mid round spots. And
Adam, I'll give you a little suggestion for next time. If you want a different pick, I assign them based on who replies to my emails first.
Oh wow, that's how I do it too. Whenever you hear, oh, here's Jamie's sleepers followed by Dave's, and that's the order that they reply to the email. Of, hey guys, send me your sleepers. So you want to take it from team 1, and I'll talk about team 2. And I think what's noteworthy here, Jamie, is that we don't have a top 4 tight end. We don't have a top 3 tight end. We don't have a top 5 quarterback. Each of our first 7 picks were running backs and wide receivers. In round 8, you took a tight end and I took a quarterback. I mean, this is remarkable. We structured our teams extremely similarly. By the way, this is a 12-team full PPR, 3 receiver, 2 running back, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 1 quarterback league. But I think that's kind of noteworthy that we both just passed on the tight ends and the elite quarterbacks. So yeah, is that something you're looking to do from the 1 spot?
as I will say, if you know the people that you're drafting with, you can sort of play it out with quarterback and tight end. And, clearly this is a huge advantage when there's only 6 of us and everybody's taking 2 teams. I knew quarterbacks would fall. So it was just a matter of at what point do I want to, jump in and draft a quarterback. So that's not, I think, the best, advice for what most leagues are looking at. But yes, I knew I could wait on quarterback. For tight end, it was just kind of playing it out, once. I think when you're picks 1, 2, or maybe 3, and you don't take McBride, you're most likely not going to get Kittle. And then it's a matter of at what point do you want to take a tight end? Because Kittle typically was going to go in the spot that he went, which is either mid round 3 or mid to late round 3 or early to mid round 4. I don't think he gets past that. So I will say one thing, and I've said this a couple times now. I referenced it again last night. If you're looking at the back end of round 2 and you started your team with Jamar Chase, this is T. Higgins' range.
And Chase Brown range.
Well, yes, Chase Brown range as well. But
Brown might go before there.
Well, no, but it's the range. It's the range.
But I kind of separate Brown. I'm just talking about the 2 receivers.
Yeah.
If you don't want to take both Bengals receivers and you are pick 2 and Chase went pick 1, you have a very good chance of getting T. Higgins in the beginning part of round 3. So look at what your board looks like if that's the guy you're targeting. So in the case, like I don't know, Adam, how you have Higgins and Ladd McConkey ranked or Tyreek Hill ranked. Those are the next 3 receivers for me. Now Tyreek was off the board. He's typically in this range. I would have taken, like, if for me with your start, like if it's Bijan, I probably would be looking to go 2 receivers. I would have taken McConkey there. Because like Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, those running backs are in a similar range as well. Like force the hand of the manager with pick 1 if they take Chase.
All right. So hang on a sec. So let's just be clear about what we're talking about here. Jamie had the first pick. I had the second pick. And since this is a 3 receiver league, he takes Jamar Chase 1. And I'm not saying he only did that because it's 3 receivers, but he takes Jamar Chase 1. I take Bijan Robinson 2. Coming back in the second round, both tight ends are gone. Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Tyreek Hill are the 3 picks that go before my second pick. I take T. Higgins. Now I have Bijan and Higgins. You're saying I should have taken McConkey there because you're probably not going to take T. Higgins.
Or if you like Jacobs better than Brown, for example.
Right. And so Jamie takes Jacobs at 24th overall and McConkey 25th. I take Chase Brown 26th overall, giving me back-to-back Bengals, T. Higgins, Chase Brown in rounds 2 and 3. I could have ended up with McConkey and Higgins there if I had taken McConkey first, because the guy who drafted Jamar Chase is probably not going to draft T. Higgins. And if he does, fine, whatever. So I think that's a pretty good point. If I had wanted to go that route, I was fine with the way it played out. I don't have a problem with Higgins and Chase Brown, but yeah, McConkey and Higgins would have been exciting in this
with Bijan
3 receiver league with Bijan. Yeah.
I think that's like one of the best case scenarios.
Yeah. I actually would have I like Hill better than McConkey, Hill and Higgins, but he was off the board. He went with pick before me. So if all 3 of those guys are available, I'm probably not messing around. I'm probably taking Tyreek Hill and not letting the guy with the picks at the 2-3 turn take Tyreek Hill. And then we'll just see. I'll be able to get Higgins in the second round. All right. So great point. If you want Higgins and you're drafting 2nd overall and he's on the board, there's a good chance the Chase manager is not going to draft him. So you might be able to leave Higgins for the 3rd round.
Last time we brought this up, you pointed this out. You could, in theory, go Chase, Higgins, Brown with your first 3 picks, and then Joe Burrow in the 4th pick. Like it could be awesome.
On Cincinnati.
I would love to do that. Gosh, I'd love. In fact, I'm going to try to do that in an auction draft. Mark it down.
Why would you try to do that in an auction draft?
It's easier to do it in a snake draft.
I don't think Burrow makes it to 48 in a 6-point per passing touchdown league.
No, but in our drafts he will.
Well, he did in here, right?
I won by 2 picks though.
I know it's close, and I would have taken him 47th overall, but Burrow went 46. So as we talk about picks 1, 2, and maybe 3, your chances of getting a top 3 tight end if you have one of the first 3 picks are very small. It doesn't.
No. You just have to take Kittle very early.
And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take
Kittle on tight end.
Right. No, so this is the thing. If we're team building here from picks 1, 2, and 3, you should assume you're not going to get a top 3 tight end because Bowers and McBride are probably off the board, especially Bowers. And Kittle, you're not going to take him 27th overall. That's too early for Kittle. And he's probably not going to make it to you at 45th overall, which would be the 46th, which would be the third to last pick of round 4.
I think the only way you do that with Kittle is if Pearsall's time on the pup list drags out and Jennings is a hold-in. Like if we find out by the end of this week, for example, Pearsall's still not off the pup list and John Lynch was just being optimistic. We know Ayuk's not going to come off the pup list anytime soon. And Jennings is an official hold-in. I could see Kittle potentially get into that range. I wouldn't do it right now, but I could see it happening.
There's one other way, and that's if you're absolutely madly in love with George Kittle.
Sure.
And you have to have Kittle on your fantasy team. And listen, that's something that a lot of, I don't want to say smart fantasy drafters, but fantasy drafters with conviction, when they've got a player that they absolutely love and they absolutely have to have, they will reach for that player. We do it all the time. When we've got a player that we're in love with, we're taking them ahead of ADP. And so if you're one of those fantasy drafters and you want to have an edge at tight end and you love George Kittle and there is a pathway for him to be an outstanding tight end again this year, then you take him in early round 3 and you're passing on other really good talent there, but you don't give a damn. By the way, 12 games last year where Jamar Chase and T. Higgins played together. The fear is if you draft both, you're never going to get a great week out of both of them at the same time. 7 of 12 games last year, they both had at least 17 PPR points.
Wow.
That's pretty good for teammates. The obvious catch is there were only 12 games, and it's T. Higgins who misses time a little bit each year. And that makes you a little nervous about, all right, can I really count on both of these guys to be awesome and available every single week? But I think I might like it better for best ball, Adam, the idea of going all in on the Bengals.
All right. So no, for sure. The point, okay, just to get back to how to build your team from an early pick, you don't have a great chance at getting a top 3 tight end. And unless you're willing, and a lot of you are, unless you're willing to take a quarterback with pick 3.1, 3.2, or 3.3, I don't think you have a great chance of getting a top 5 quarterback. Joe Burrow did go with the third to last pick of round 4. So in this draft, with 6 people who are not inclined to reach for quarterback, where Baker Mayfield was an 8th round pick, Joe Burrow did make it to 46th overall. In a 4-point per passing touchdown league, I do think he will be there. In a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I think it's questionable. So just go into your draft if you have one of the first 3 picks in a 12-team league, thinking you might be waiting on quarterback and tight end. And that's exactly what Jamie and I did, and I have no problem with it. So, Jamie, go through your team from pick 1, and then we'll look at teams 2 and 3 real quick after that and just different ways to build this.
Yeah, and again, just to reference the draft from last night, Burrow did make it to the end of round 4, and Hurts was early in round 5. So there was an example of
great
12 people drafting. So it wouldn't shock me if Burrow and or Hurts are there, just depending on how people view those 2 guys. But the top 3 guys, for sure, you're right. They're not going to make it back to you. Unless there's just utter panic for Jaden Daniels if McLaurin's holdout is extremely lengthy and there's some concern there. I doubt it, but again, could be something that drops his ADP. For me, it's kind of a pretty simple formula. I'm most likely going to look to get 3 receivers with my first 4 picks after potentially taking a running back in rounds 2 or 3. So I just think the value of the players that you're going to be seeing that range of any of the, if you're looking at the board, I think any of the 5 guys from Jonathan Taylor on down. So Taylor, Irving, Jacobs, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, one of those guys should be there. If you like Hero RB, it's an easy build. You start with Chase, you take one of those running backs, and then you take either of the 2 receivers, in my opinion, that should be there. 3 will be there, but again, not taking Higgins. So it would probably be McConkey or Tyreek Hill of those 2 guys. So if I could start like that, I'm thrilled with it. And then it's just kind of playing the board with receivers and running backs fall to you. I do think you can potentially see Mahomes in this range. I think you'll see anybody from Laporta on down to tight end in this range. So if you do want to go with those spots, you can. For me, it was just kind of stockpiling the best available running backs and wide receivers. And I'm thrilled with the way it worked out, to be honest with you. To get Kamara and Caleb Johnson as, 2 and 3 at running back, to get George Pickens as a 4th receiver after, starting with Jamar Chase, Lab McConkey, DJ Moore. Like, I love this build. So for me, like, this is the type of team that I'm going to be thrilled with coming out of the draft. A lot of dart throw running backs at the back end with Rashad White, Dylan Sampson, and Braylon Allen. And, to get QB 9 for me and to get tight end 6 for me, like, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Okay. So his starting lineup is Dak Prescott and Travis Kelce, and then Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Jamar Chase, Lab McConkey, DJ Moore. And the flex is either going to be Caleb Johnson or George Pickens. It's really good. Really good.
Yep.
Talk about my team after we take a quick break. By the way, we're going to pivot a little bit here, and we're just going to do the first 6 picks. We're going to talk about pick by pick from the first 6 picks today, and we'll save 7 through 12 for tomorrow. It was an ambitious goal to do all 12 picks today, so that's fine. We'll spend more time on it. 7 through 12 tomorrow, and we'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
All right, and then team 2 was similarly built. Bijan, T. Higgins, Chase Brown with my first 3 picks. Cortland Sutton, Xavier Worthy. I was pretty happy with those 2 picks. I think maybe they're not high catch guys. I wish they were a little bit more PPR-y, but I like them. Pacheco in round 6, who I took just before Jamie took Caleb Johnson. You will see me taking Pacheco before ADP a lot. And then I took Chris Olave after Jamie took Pickens. I definitely wanted Pickens. Right, you took Pickens before me, right? That was an odd round.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. So I would have liked Pickens there over.
And I will say this: I since adjusted my rankings, but when we did this draft, first off, for anybody looking at the board, we did this draft prior to the Rashee Rice news. So you see him in round 3. We did this draft prior to McLaurin's holdout. So you see him in round 4, I believe.
3.
There are some things that have obviously changed, that will adjust even from the last week from when we did this. I specifically passed on Olave because I drafted Kamara. I did not want to take 2 safeties. That is not something that I would advise anybody doing is buying into that particular team. But yes, I did take Pickens before Olave.
All right. So Bijan, Higgins, Chase Brown, Sutton, Worthy, Pacheco, Olave, Baker Mayfield. I'm nervous about Baker Mayfield, but this is never be stubborn. Never be stubborn in fantasy. The 8th round for a guy who was super elite last year. If I'm wrong about Baker Mayfield, this is one of the best picks in the draft. Jalen Warren, Tyjae Spears after that, and Mark Andrews. So at tight end, I waited and I took Mark Andrews. Did I not take another tight end? I thought I did.
I thought you did in this one.
I thought I did too. I guess not. Mark Andrews
He'll
is
drop
my
Rashard Smith for a tight end after like 2 weeks.
surprised. I thought I had.
I thought you took.
I took Tyler Warren. I took Tyler Warren where it says Jalen Warren. That's what it was. So I went Mayfield in round 8 and Tyler Warren in round 9. So my 2 tight ends are Tyler Warren and Mark Andrews. My starting lineup is going to be Baker Mayfield and either Warren or Andrews at tight end with Bijan Robinson and Chase Brown, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, Xavier Worthy. And then the flex is going to be probably, I'll start with Pacheco and we'll see how Olave does there. Fine with that team.
Oh, come on, dude.
What the hell was that?
It was Thomas.
Was that the sleeper app saying that? Oh, that is so funny.
We gotta give Thomas some credit. So last night we did the draft through CBS. We used Sleeper to show the draft to make it more easy to read. And Thomas had to input every player as the draft was unfolding. He had to do it for this as well, so it's not our spreadsheet. And it's a lot of work. And Thomas does a great job. I don't think we said that enough.
Oh, come on, dude. That
It
was
kind of
awesome.
sounded like Schaefer.
It did.
Yeah, that was fun.
He,
All right,
he would be a little deeper tone of voice. Oh, come
Team
on,
3
dude.
took a similar approach, except Joe Burrow fell to Team 3 in round 4, and this was Thomas's team, dude. Barkley, Tyreek Hill, Kyron Williams, Joe Burrow.
So you say fell. I mean,
His ADP is 42nd. It wasn't a huge fall.
so that's what I want to get. So I want to, because we both have Bengals after Thomas. You were taking Burrow there no matter what?
Absolutely. And that would have been my third Bengal, but I can't pass up Joe Burrow.
No, I get it. I don't think it's a bad pick. I was just curious.
Probably the only team I would do that with is the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe the Lions, but it just doesn't really work out that way. But
Right.
let me see where Burrow's going on fantasy.
You would do it with the Eagles if you
He's
got
going right around the same range.
if you got
right around-
Barkley in round 1 and AJ Brown in round 2. You do it with Jalen Hurts.
I would do that. Yeah. But it's a little bit different with mobile quarterbacks because, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Actually, mobile quarterbacks are kind of bad for other fantasy.
But I think with those 3 players in particular, it works.
Yeah, it does work. All right, so he went Barkley, Tyreek Hill, Kyron Williams, Joe Burrow, and then he hammered wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, Ricky Pearsall, Roma Dunze. Javonte Williams is his number 3 running back. So Thomas, I don't know if you can hop on. I know you had construction going on near you, but just curious if you maybe would switch any of your picks where you've got Barkley, Tyreek Hill, Kyron Williams, Joe Burrow, 2 running backs, a wide receiver, and a quarterback. Your next 3 picks were Jeudy, Pearsall, Odunze, and then you've got Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, Austin Eckler. So I would say maybe running back depth is a little shaky for you after Barkley and Kyron. Kyron maybe makes you a little nervous. I don't know, at RB2. Would you take those 3 picks in rounds 5, 6, 7 of Jeudy, Pearsall, Odunze and swap one of them out for a running back instead of a receiver?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I probably would have went back and switched Jeudy for Kamara.
He was not available.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right.
Would have been RJ Harvey or Travion Henderson or Joe Mixon or James Conner.
I guess that's where I would have taken if he would have came back to me, but I'm pretty much fine with my running back depth. I think one of those Cowboys running backs, because I took Jaden Blue too, will end up being a decent backup running back. And I really love, I'm sorry, there's so much construction going on, but
Can't hear any of it.
Yeah,
okay. I really love Kyron Williams. Like, I'm one of the higher guys on him. I know a lot of you guys don't like him. Heath likes him, so I know he probably would have taken him had he fell to him where he grabbed. Maybe not McLaurin because he had already 3 running backs.
I think where you took him is fine.
But yeah, so Adam, you said he might be a little shaky as a number 2 running back. I would love him as a number 1 running back.
Okay.
I'm being honest. Yeah.
I listen, I don't love Barkley at 3, but you take it just a broader view of it. I love the build. The only thing I probably would have done differently is instead of taking Pittman, you had a chance to take Brian Robinson. Like, I would have done that.
The three receivers of Jeudy, Pearsall, and Odunze just kind of scare me. I don't think there's quite enough provenness there and a lot of question marks. I'm not saying that they were bad picks. I don't know that any of those individual picks were bad, but I'd be a little nervous, Dave, about those being wide receivers 2, 3, and 4 for me. Jeudy, Pearsall, Odunze.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
in
in a 3 receiver league with a flex, I get where you're coming from. If it's a 2 receiver league with a flex and you're only starting 2 of those 3, I'd be fine with that to start the year.
Okay.
And I agree with Jamie, like getting Brian Robinson to really pad. I would have taken Robinson ahead of Javonte at this point. So you could have had Brian Robinson around sooner than Javonte where you took Pittman. But whatever order you take those 2 in, those are solid backup running backs. Robinson more so than Javonte. I probably would not have taken Blue, and I would have looked for Jarquez Hunter when you took Adam Thielen. I'm guessing, Vikings fan Thomas took Thielen for the old school feel of getting him on his team, but you have no real reason to get Thielen when you've got the receivers that you have already. You could have gotten a different receiver where you got Blue. You could have had Hunter to back up Kyron Williams just in case calamity hits Kyron Williams. It's a good build. I don't necessarily love every guy you took, but you could go to battle with that team. That's a team that could contend a little bit.
By the way, just it wasn't like news, but the Cowboys open camp with Javonte as the lead running back.
Sure. Yeah.
They were using Kevontae Turpin
Yep.
in the backfield on their first day of camp
Yep.
too.
Apparently,
that
Jaden
was a
Blue looked great. Jaden Blue would probably look great.
Oh, it's turpentine.
I hope not.
All right, Dave, let's take a look at picks 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And I would honestly have
I'm gonna
to
run.
say,
You guys gotta go. Bye.
Later.
Okay. Oh man, I was gonna play all the dog sounds. Wait, Jamie.
That bark sounds vicious.
Yeah.
That's like a little tiny dog that's gonna bite your ankle off.
When you look at picks 4, 5, and 6, the builds are pretty similar for picks 4 and 5, where we're not looking at neither of those teams has a top 3 quarterback or a top.
Right.
Sorry,
They waited on quarterback and they mostly waited on tight end.
Top 3 tight end or top 5 quarterback. But pick 6 has both. Pick 6 is interesting. We'll talk about Dan's team. It has McBride in round 2 and Hurts in round 4. So what do you see? It's picks 4 and 5 are not that different than picks 1, 2, and 3, just in terms of the way they built their roster. They're spending early picks almost exclusively on running backs and wide receivers,
which is fine. That's a great way to go about it, as long as you're willing to accept that you're not going to be one of those teams that has a huge edge at tight end or a huge edge at quarterback. But you're still going to have players that can put up some nice points. Jacob was team 4. He's got Drake May as a starting quarterback. That's aggressive to have Drake May as your starting QB to begin the season, but maybe there's somebody that he can grab off the waiver wire. I don't see Stafford was picked. So, like, if he really got cold feet about Drake May in week 1, Drake May in week 1 is playing against Las Vegas. So you could start him in week 1 and you could stream the position, or if Drake May takes off, you've got gold. And at tight end, he's got Tucker Kraft, and you know how I feel about Tucker Kraft. I think he's a good tight end to at least begin the season with, and he's loaded at running back. He's got Bucky Irving, Amarian Hampton, RJ Harvey. He took Brian Robinson when Thomas should have taken Brian Robinson. His receivers, CeeDee Lamb in round 1, Rashee Rice in round 3. I don't think he would take Rice in round 3 again, but he might take Hampton in round 3. Waddle, Jennings, Josh Downs. This is great depth at running back and wide receiver. And the price he paid is an upside play at quarterback late and an upside play at tight end late.
Yeah. So I think that Jacob, I think he makes a little bit of a mistake, in my opinion, in that he loves rookies. He loves rookies. Yes. He's got 4 rookie running backs. I have no problem with the Hampton and Harvey picks. Tootin and Brooks.
Yeah, Taj Brooks with his last pick.
Yeah, it's fine to me if you just feel like, there's quarterbacks on the waiver wire. But the other mistake I think Jacob made, and it's part of the Tootin and Brooks picks, Bashal Tootin, rookie running back for the Jaguars, Taj Brooks, rookie running back for the Bengals. I think if you draft Drake May as your starting quarterback, you should have another quarterback on your roster. He loves Drake May. So it's great to love a player. But if you love a player and you're kind of on an island and his player's never done it before, I do think you should back up your own confidence, right? And there's just no need with this group of quarterbacks available. There's no need there's no reason why you shouldn't have a good backup quarterback if you want one. And I think if you have Drake May, you should have a good backup quarterback. There's Bashal Tootin or Will Shipley or Taj Brooks should have been a quarterback. Or a tight end, Dave, because he only has Tucker Kraft. So it's like, again, I don't know that I dislike any of the picks in terms of, you reach for this guy. But if you're only going to have Drake May and Tucker Kraft, personally, I think you should have 2 of either of both positions or 2 of at least one of those positions.
So here's the counterpoint. He could go to the waiver wire right now and drop Taj Brooks, who no one's going to be in a rush to pick up, and get, I don't see JJ McCarthy as a pick in this draft. I don't see Tua. I don't see Jordan Love. I
All
don't
right.
see Matthew Stafford. I don't see CJ Stroud. Those 5 quarterbacks right there that can pull 20 fantasy points or more in any given matchup, pretty much.
Great point. Great point.
So in a league where only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams took 2 quarterbacks, I'm okay with this. Did Herbert get picked? Holy cow! I don't think Justin Herbert got picked in this.
Okay,
draft.
all right, you're right about that.
So now he's got all kinds of options on the waiver wire, and all he's doing is carrying Taj Brooks in case something happens to Chase Brown between now and week 1.
Okay.
And even then, I don't know if Taj Brooks is suddenly going to be what Chase Brown was, but whatever. He can clearly go to the waiver wire to find that second quarterback. So he took the quarterback that he loves with upside in Drake May. As for Tucker Kraft, he could have taken Kincaid where he took Shipley. I like taking Shipley late just as the counter to Saquon in case something happens to him. But that's probably the position I would have taken a second player on. But I don't mind going after rookie quarterback or rookie running backs rather, like Jacob did. That's usually a good way to achieve some value in your fantasy drafts.
Team 5 is Heath.
You got to be patient. You just have to be patient with them. Bucky Irving's a good example from last year.
Team 5 is Heath, and I don't like doing what I'm about to do. I don't like talking smack about someone when they're not on the show. But I hate Heath's team. I'm sorry.
What do you hate about it?
Okay, so he had the 5th pick. He took Achane. He's got a lot of conviction there.
Yep.
Achane, about 23 points per game with Tua. So totally get it.
I would have taken Gibbs. Gibbs went after Achane.
No issues with this pick. Not saying I would have done it, but no issues. Took Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd round. It's a 3-receiver league. He started his team with 3 running backs with his first 4 picks. He talked about this, and I know he has his own thoughts on it, but I hated the McLaurin pick in round 3. At this point, if you have Terry McLaurin as the best wide receiver available, after that it was Devontae Adams, and then a big gap between Marvin Harrison Jr. was the next one. JSN was available. He was, to me, a steal with the 2nd pick of round 4. Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans. But if you don't love the wide receivers there, just take Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Like, there were no quarterbacks off the board at that point. I do not think you can justify. I shouldn't say that because you can justify it. I would not take Terry McLaurin over the number 1 quarterback. So that's where we talk about build. Just like pivot to a different position. I'm not a Chuba Hubbard guy, but I'm not going to say it was a bad pick. It's just he's not my guy. Travis Hunter in round 5 is interesting, but a lot of upside there. And then the next 2 wide receivers were Devontae Smith and Zay Flowers. So no issues there. Cooper Kupp in round 6. He's 32. He can't stay healthy. This feels like a reach to me. David Njoku in round 7 when his ADP is around 100th. That feels like a reach to me. And he was the 5th tight end off the board. Jaylen Warren as your RB3. Here's the thing with Jaylen Warren. It's like they have had
RB4.
Oh, he's your RB4. Okay, never mind. That's fine then. I might have gone with a different position there, but that's fine. Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden in the later rounds. And then his quarterbacks are Purdy and Caleb Williams. It's fine. There's no issues there. You waited on quarterback. Maybe I would have taken him. Maybe I would have taken Baker Mayfield instead of Jaylen Warren at RB4, but whatever. I think it's just, I'm not taking McLaurin over Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels. Like, no chance.
Agreed.
And then Cooper Kupp and David Njoku, I thought were kind of reaches. So Heath, I'm sorry. I hate doing that. Don't hate me for it. I just didn't like the team.
I will defend Heath by saying, I'm going to go back to what I talked about earlier in the show. Heath is a man who drafts with pure conviction. He loves doing his analysis. He does it his way. I love him for it because he challenges me to think. And he doesn't give a damn if he's taking somebody ahead of consensus. He loves Achane more than Jacob Gibbs, than Jahmyr Gibbs. He likes Achane more than Jacob and Jahmyr Gibbs. Can you believe that? And so he's going to stick to his guns. And I'm sure if he could have a redo on McLaurin, knowing what we know now about McLaurin, he would do that in a heartbeat. And maybe then he would take somebody like Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson or JSN with that 3rd pick. You can look at his rankings and see who he would have taken. He might have already adjusted and taken McLaurin out from where he had him. But this is an example of a drafter who he believes what he believes. He does his research, and he doesn't care about ADP. And there are going to be people who are like that in fantasy drafts. There's going to be 3 or 4 people like that in every single home league out there. It's not a bad thing. It's your team. You should love it.
No, but why? I'm even saying if Terry McLaurin showed up to camp, no issues, no contract issues, I just don't think that you take that kind of player who in his best year last year.
Right. He has talked about this. That's what's the most surprising thing of all. Like, McLaurin is one of Heath's biggest regression candidates.
Right. I was surprised by the pick, but his best year last year, he was wide receiver 16 per game. You took him over Josh Allen, who's the top 3 quarterback 5 years in a row. I just can't. Like, Josh Allen should go off the board there. That's all I'm saying. A team building, if you have that 3rd pick, I don't think Allen's even going to make it to you there. But if Allen or Jackson, or for me, Jaden Daniels is available in the middle of round 3, please strongly consider it.
Let's do a quick exercise here. Everybody who's watching on YouTube can see the draft board, but if you're listening, let's just do this for them too. I'm going to list the names of players who were taken ahead of Josh Allen. You tell me if you would have taken that player or Josh Allen. And McLaurin, we've already decided we would take Josh Allen. I agree with you. Devontae Adams was taken 1 spot ahead of Josh Allen. Who are you taking first?
Allen.
I love Adams. I'm taking Allen. James Cook,
actually, because I like him a lot more than most people.
I'll take Josh Allen. Rashee Rice. Easy one now, knowing that Rashee Rice is going to have suspension. Kyron Williams.
Probably Kyron.
I've got Kyron ahead of Josh Allen, but I keep getting my feet get colder and colder with Kyron Williams. All right, and then Chase Brown, Ladd McConkey, Josh Jacobs. We're taking those guys ahead of Josh Allen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I want to amend something, though. It's
boy.
not so crazy to take McLaurin over Allen if you say to yourself, well, in round 4, I'm going to take Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts if they're there. But he passed on Burrow for Chuba Hubbard, and I wouldn't have done that either. So if you look at if you're up and you got the 5th overall pick and all of the top 5 quarterbacks are available, then I can see going with a different player. It still wouldn't have been McLaurin for me, but I could see going with a non-quarterback there because you think I've got a pretty good chance to get one of those top 5 with my next pick. But he did have that chance, and he just didn't want to build his team that way, which is fine. He took Hubbard over Burrow after Hurts went the pick before. Okay, now let's look at Dan's team to finish the show because this one's super fun. This is interesting.
And you're not going to mind trashing Dan's team.
Yeah, Dan and I actually did the same thing. I had the 8th pick and Dan had the 6th pick, and we both took 4 different positions with our first 4 picks. So we'll talk about team 8 tomorrow, but Dan goes Justin Jefferson, Trey McBride, James Cook, Jalen Hurts, and I freaking love that start. And I don't even care when we look at the rest of the roster and go, oh, you're weak here, you're weak there. I love it. Jefferson, McBride, James Cook, Jalen Hurts. I think it's great. I also think if he had passed on McBride and taken Tyreek Hill or Jonathan Taylor or Bucky Irving or whatever there, that would have been fine too. But Dave, how do you feel about Jefferson, McBride, James Cook, Jalen Hurts to start from team 6?
It's a decision that fantasy managers can make to take one player from each position, as long as they understand that they're going to be a little bit behind somewhere else between running back and wide receiver, especially in a 3-receiver league. I think he actually got out of it okay, though, because in round 5, he took Devontae Smith. Round 6, he took Calvin Ridley. I view both of those receivers as boom-bust type plays. I much prefer them as number 3 receivers or flexes. He's going to have to use one of them as a wide receiver 2 to start the season. And then he got Tony Pollard in round 7. I'm okay with his first 7 picks, especially knowing that he got my number 1 tight end. I like McBride better than Bowers in full PPR. And Jalen Hurts is a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Those guys should be able to be lead performers at their position. And so what they give compared to the, flighty nature of what Devontae Smith and Calvin Ridley offer, that's okay. I don't really like what he did after Tony Pollard because he took Brandon Ayuk. He could have had Jalen Warren. Next round, he took Rashid Shaheed. I'm looking at some other receivers that went after that. I don't really love any of those wide receivers after he took Shaheed. He could have had Scattaboo. He could have had Garendo. He could have had Jordan Mason. He could have taken another running back there. This is about the range where you see wide receivers peter out in the middle of drafts, and he's going to be a little bit behind there. So if you're if you know, he has 2 Titans, that's going to concern me. But if you're okay with that, and you're expecting Pollard to be a little bit better than he was last year, and Ridley to bounce back with a new quarterback, I think it's fine. I think you got to get a little bit lucky, though, if you're going to start your draft with a quarterback and a tight end with your first 5 picks. A lot easier to do that, Adam, in a league where you start 2 wide receivers in a flex, and definitely a way to kind of strategize and target if you're in a 10-team league or an 8-team league. I like that a lot better here. But in a 12-team league with 3 wide receivers, full PPR, I don't love it. I think it's just okay.
Okay, yeah, I know. I think it's a great point. I mean, I said I love it. You said you don't love it, and I totally see where you're coming from. I guess, because I wrote an article about this strategy, and my point was my team 8 was McCaffrey, AJ Brown, Josh Allen, George Kittle. My point was, if you win a fantasy championship or you make the playoffs, your roster in the playoffs is going to look very different than your roster on draft day. Just throughout the year, players emerge, free agency, waiver wire, all that stuff.
Injuries happen.
Of course, but I just mean, to get 4 pillars of your team that you feel really good about, even if it means sacrificing wide receiver depth, something like that, I think you can make it work. But I do love the team. However, I think you don't know how it's going to play out, right? You don't know how it's going to play out. But what would you rather have? Would you rather have Trey McBride in round 2 and Devontae Smith in round 5, or Tyreek Hill or T. Higgins in round 2 and Sam Laporta in round 5?
The receiver.
Yeah, me too. And I probably wouldn't even take Sam Laporta in round 5. So it probably would have been T. Higgins or Tyreek Hill in round 2, and then just a worse tight end. Just, wait on tight end. So,
and I like most of what you did on Team 8, but I do wish you had gotten Garendo instead of Kyle Williams.
Dude, it was the stupidest thing I've ever done. And I wanted to. Yeah, I know. As soon as I passed on Garendo, I would think we talked about this on the air last week. I wanted to switch the pick. I was going to be like, Jamie, can I get that pick back? But Jamie had just picked Garendo.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, that's one of those things you automatically have to put on your draft list when you take McCaffrey in round 1.
Yeah, it's tomorrow's show.
Got to get Garendo. And maybe even a round earlier when you should have got him maybe a round earlier. Round 8 is probably the time to go get him.
All right, so major takeaways from today's show, looking at this draft board. If you have one of the first 4 picks, let's say, just based on ADP, you should be prepared to not have McBride, Bowers, or Kittle, or any of the top 5 quarterbacks, unless you are comfortable with taking a quarterback in round 3.
Or unless one of them fall to you, which you'll happily grab.
Right. But what I'm saying is, based on ADP, if you don't take a quarterback in your first 3 picks, you're probably not getting one in round 4. And the same with those top 3 tight ends. And you know what?
Waiting on quarterback and tight end.
And that's fine. That is fine.
Okay. Yes, it is.
The tight ends and the elite quarterbacks come more into play the later you get into the draft, with the later round 1 pick. But beginning, I'd say with pick 5, it's really much more realistic. All right. And that's more so with the tight ends. I think their ADPs are probably going to be a little stickier than the quarterbacks, because some people just love quarterbacks. They're going to take Josh Allen in the 2nd round. They're going to take Lamar Jackson in the 2nd round. So it is what it is. But all right, that's the major takeaways from me and from Dave. And if you're just
a quarterback and a tight end with 2 of your first 4 picks can lead to some sticky situations down the line.
And I love the distinction that Dave makes between 2 receiver leagues and 3 receiver leagues.
Yeah, right. Smaller the league, the better it could be for you if you do decide to take a tight end in round 2 and a quarterback in round 3 or round 4.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching and listening. If you were just listening, you should watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today. And we will talk to you tomorrow with another edition.